Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to be my look at this month in Dragalia Lost for the month of May 2020. Every month, Director Okada and the development team gives us a look into what content is coming out for the rest of the month, as well as often a couple of teasers of what's to come for the rest of the year and just the future of the game in general. So this being May 1st, that was announced today. We also got our shop purchase counts reset and the treasure trades for void battles and astral raids reset. So there's lots of resources in there for you to collect, and hopefully you have a nice stockpile from the void battle endeavors period in the previous month to where you can start to clear out that treasure trade. So we're going to be focused primarily on this month in Dragalia Lost today, but just to give the context of where we are in the game right now, we just got our third Agito battle this past week. These are endgame battles that are available on a standard and expert difficulty. That's been occupying a lot of the more hardcore players' time, and for the more casual players or newer players, I would say we have the Fire Emblem Kindred Ties event, which is brand new. You gain a new character, Sharina. Obviously, part 1 of the banner for this is available right now. And although some parts of the event are yet to be unlocked, such as Crom's trial, the ending to the story, and the lunatic difficulty of Thor's Descent, which is a defensive battle mode, plus the whole Colosseum, although that's yet to be unlocked, there's still easier difficulties available and some harder trials like Peony's and Tiki's trial. So most experienced players aren't really grinding this out just yet. But there are things like daily endeavors where you want to collect at least 30,000 resolve, which is sort of the point system that you accumulate by playing content or quests in the event. One tip, if you're trying to get your daily amount of 30,000 resolve, to get a free summon voucher, but no more than that, because you don't want to do all your grinding now, you want to wait for the harder difficulty, is there are some limited endeavors here for Fire Emblem Kindred Ties for beating both Peony and Tiki on normal or hard difficulty, which is very easy. 15 times right now for Tiki. It goes up to 20, and it starts, I believe, at 5. So you can repeatedly play those. If you've gotten the free event worm prints, then you can accumulate a good amount of resolve just by doing that. So that's kind of what I'm doing to clear out the couple of days I have until the harder content in the event is released. But that's all for scene setting here and talking about what's going on right now in Dragalia Lost. Let's get into this month and find out what's to come throughout May. Okay, so hello, Yuji Okada here, Director of Dragalia Lost. I want to start by thanking you for playing Dragalia. I hope you're enjoying the Fire Emblem Heroes event. Chapter 13 of the main campaign was also added, so I hope you're enjoying that too. The first time you play the main campaign on normal difficulty, it won't cost any stamina, and as you clear quests, you'll get upgrade items and unlock special endeavors. I think it'll serve both new and returning players well in their future adventures if they play the main campaign during breaks between events. Totally agree, that is a good time to play it. Usually when a new chapter comes out, they will do half stamina for story quests, and in this case they also did double drops just to incentivize you to go ahead and do the hard and very hard difficulty while you're at it. So that's what I would recommend doing if you have the resources available, like the stamina available to take care of that. I went ahead and knocked out Chapter 13 after its release, and don't have anything else to do with it, but it was a fun chapter, so there's lots of story content to catch up on if you're brand new to DL. Next up, they have a bullet point for Fire Emblem Heroes events. The following 2 events are live until May 11th. Fire Emblem Lost Heroes and Fire Emblem Kindred Ties. If you haven't played them yet, I would recommend starting with the original event, Fire Emblem Lost Heroes. In Lost Heroes, Alphonse will join your team as you play quests, and Sharina will do the same during the Kindred Ties event. Also, the defensive battles in Lost Heroes are solo only, but those in Kindred Ties can be played co-op as well. I have a feeling we're going to need to do a lot of those co-op Kindred Ties battles and even solo battles for that, because you can get up to a lot of resolve. There's rewards up to 10 million. The best ones stop at 1 million resolve. But compared to the original event, there's not as many worm prints that boost your resolve intake as there were worm prints for the original event that boosted your Valor intake. So really, there's just 2 5-star worm prints that are brand new that will help you, that you can get through the event treasure trade or by buying using Eldwater in the worm print shop. Those should expedite your grind considerably, but one of the drops that's shown for the Lunatic difficulty is Rainbow Orbs. We don't know the drop rate for those, how many you could possibly get from each run, but right now, especially if you've been playing a while, people are in very short supply of those because they're needed for things like mana circles and mana spirals, but also the new levels of our elemental altars, and to a lesser extent, I guess they're not needed for our rupee mines, but rupee mines is another thing that got extra levels. So yeah, they're mainly needed for the elemental altars. You need 90 of them per altar to bring them from 35 to 40, which is a lot. So hopefully you would want to play the defensive battles mode of Kindred Ties anyway to accumulate that particular resource. And so maybe the point intake being a little lower won't matter because of how beneficial it is to repeatedly play that quest. And maybe they'll actually tune up the point intake so that it's a little more balanced as well and doesn't take as long to grind. So this time around, we've made a few adjustments to defensive battles to make them easier to play. We increased dashing speed to make it easier to traverse the wide maps. We introduced a quest skill that can be activated up to 3 times per quest. That's the artillery or arrow barrage that you've seen on the normal and hard difficulties so far in Thor's Descent. When you activate this quest skill, a barrage of arrows will rain down from the sky, damaging enemies in a wide area. The theme song for the Fire Emblem Kindred Ties event, Dawn Song, plays during the story and certain quests such as Trials quests. It is very good. I really like the music on this. It was composed by Taka Inoue and sung by Hitomi Miyahara. As the song's title implies, I think it turned out to be rather energizing. I like it. It was a little hard to hear in my recording because I had the game volume kind of low, but in the playing that I've done off screen on my own, I really do like the music. The second half of the Fire Emblem Kindred Ties event starts May 3rd. Tiki will appear in the summon showcase that starts along with the second half of the event. That's all I needed to know. That has me very excited. Right now, I have about 450 summons to go for Tiki, and I know that 400 summons or 450 may seem like a lot, but it's really not that much when you're trying to target a specific character and you are not on a gala. Their appearance rate is still low enough that I guess it's easier on non-gala, but in any case, even on a normal showcase when you have like better odds than a gala to get the focus characters, we're still looking at 400 summons being about a 90% chance to pull Tiki. And if we're able to get up to 500, that's like a 95% chance roughly. So it's not great odds for us. I mean, 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 chance of failure is not that good. We're going to have to go lucky here and get Tiki relatively early if we want to have a good amount of stash left for Peony and Chrom. And unfortunately, that's the one really disappointing thing with these split banners. There's sort of 2 types of people that they negatively affect. One is the people who want to get everything on both the banners, because if all the units are together, you know, while you're going for your Tiki, there's a chance you're going to get your Chrom or Peony, and all of them start off with a 0.5% rate regardless and gain the same amount every pity increase. So it's not like characters being on the same banner ever hurts you in Dragalia Lost, so keep that in mind. The split banners is not a good thing like it might be in some other gachas. The other type of people that it hurts is, let's say you're just somebody who doesn't have a lot of resources, but you're content that you would be happy if you got at least one of the new characters. Well, if all 3 were together, your odds of getting at least one would be higher than they are in the split banner system. If you have that mindset, certainly the Chrom and Peony banner is better for you because at least there's 2 good targets as opposed to 1 on the Tiki banner. But I think they realize that Tiki is that popular of a unit, and they did this with Grace and Mitsuba before, and they did it with Hunter Cerise, and I think they did it with Akasha last year to a lesser extent, where they split Lathna and Akasha. So this trend of part 1 and part 2 of banners doesn't seem to be going anywhere. have to think that this is something that's being done for revenue reasons. And it just means that we have to be even more cautious with how we're spending our free-to-play resources like Warmite. It does say Tiki is an adventurer with her own unique fighting style, so I hope you're looking forward to her joining the game, and I am looking forward to that. We did get a little more detail than I thought in the gameplay trailer that was posted as a general preview for the event. So a couple of you pointed out in the comments some of her mechanics and how she has like a dragon drive and probably a unique dragon form, but maybe the fact that her gauge looks so different than, say, Mim's or Lathna's, maybe she actually plays out differently mechanically as well. But I'm excited to see how she plays out. You know, Water has a lot of strong dragon-centric resources. You have Zanefried, who has the Dragon's Claws chain co-ability. You also have Summer Celiera, who has the Dragon's Claws chain co-ability and Dragon Haste built into one. And there are a lot of characters who randomly have Dragon Haste, like Pipple is a source of skill damage and Dragon Haste in your backline. Pietra is a source of defense and Dragon Haste. So I think Nurse Eileen gives you recovery potency and Dragon Haste. So I think you could, it's maybe not as busted as like Shadow and Ieyasu and Lathna and Audric. But I think you could probably ramp Tiki very fast, especially if her dragon shifting is kind of like an on-off switch as opposed to having to recharge before you fully use it again. If it's actually like that, then maybe Dragon's Claws could actually be pretty busted on her. But I'm looking forward to hopefully getting her. I mean, there's a small chance that we fail, but 10% chance is not insignificant. So I'm really trying to hold off summoning for Chrom and Peony until we confirm that we actually pull her. Here we go, though. This is kind of one of the newest things about the event. A new type of content, the Colosseum, will be added in the second half of the event. In these quests, you'll fight successive battles against adventurers from Dragalia Lost and receive rewards based on how many battles you're able to win. There are quests for each of the 5 elements and several difficulty levels. The might requirements for the highest difficulty level, Infernal, will be rather high. Even though there are no special rewards for Infernal difficulty, I hope you take the opportunity to challenge yourself with these quests if you're confident in your skills. So they're delivering on something relatively quickly that they promised last month. They said that Dragalia is hard to play, it's kind of complicated, it's got a lot going on, and a lot of action elements for a phone game. So they want to push in a direction where it is more beginner-friendly and more friendly to casual players. However, they acknowledged that for hardcore players who want that level of difficulty, they were going to do quests in the future that don't necessarily give rewards, but are there for the sake of challenge. And just the following month, I'm surprised that they have actually turned this around with this new Infernal difficulty. That is the type of thing that I think I will probably really like. It sounds like, they haven't given any indication one way or another, at least on this post, whether Colosseum is solo only or could be done in co-op. So I am curious about that. But from the footage that we had seen from the Colosseum so far, they kind of pair characters together that makes sense from a flavor standpoint, which I love. So we saw one fight where you're up against both Ramona and Reyna, another one where you're fighting Verica and Naveed. I like that a lot. Maybe we'll see one where you fight Emma and Leia. I just think that that's a way to give a lot of fun characterization to some adventurers who join the game without really having a proper event for themselves. So you might know who they are if you've read their adventurer story and happen to summon them, but really outside of that, they may not have been given a proper introduction through a raid or facility battle. So I like that. I think that that's kind of a cool way to bring more characters into the spotlight. Hopefully there's a small amount of story, or at least like prelude, maybe where they talk to you and say like, we're your next challengers. Look out for this and this, or just something really small like that I think could be kind of fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and humanoid bosses have traditionally been pretty good in Dragalia. A while back, we got Ieyasu's raid event, and he was actually part of the boss battle for that, along with his retainers, and the patterns are usually pretty fun and pretty challenging. We've also had Veronica and Alphonse's trials, Now we have Peony and Tiki's and Crom's trials. All pretty solid content in my opinion. We have Ciela and the other Agito bosses. So if they want to push more adventurer or humanoid bosses, I am all for it. I think it's a lot better than these random manticores and cyclopses that we always continuously fight, like the lizard man and the wolf and the squirrel enemy, the bat with the eyeball. I mean, there's like a rotating cast of fiends that we always seem to fight. And even some of the raid bosses eventually just got to the point where they were basically reskins, like Valthair is to Sabnok. Even though their patterns were slightly different, their visual design was so similar that it was a little bit disappointing. So turning adventurers into opponents, I'm all for it. And they're simple, they're all little humanoid models, so I would hope maybe that saves some development time to where we could get this type of content more often in the future. And I think this is content that they've alluded to, them wanting to alternate and every month have either a new Colosseum or new defensive battles. Maybe that's not exactly what they mean. They referred to that in a past post about new types of events, and they connected it to Fire Emblem, so I think it might be exactly these types of content. It's surprising to me because I would assume that defensive battles and Colosseum are somehow locked behind or tied to the intelligence systems Fire Emblem IP and not something that Dragalia could just lift wholesale, so perhaps they'll rebrand it. But I do expect this type of content to continue in the future, and hopefully it's well received, and that makes that a good thing for us. So I guess that's it for the Fire Emblem Heroes events talk here. So let's move on to plans for this month. After the Fire Emblem Heroes events ends, we're planning on reviving the Loyalties Requiem raid event. It was the first event after the release of the game, but this is the first time it will be revived. It's been over a year and a half. You can add everyone's favorite Arms Master, 4-star Water Celiera, and the Dragon Pele to your team. Also, 4-star Water Celiera and 4-star Wind Ronzel's Mana Spirals will unlock at the same time. Love it. I am there for Ronzel. Celiera, I might not, but Celiera has such a huge fan base that I know y'all got me covered on that one. I know there's going to be a ton of unlocked Celieras out there. Let's see. 4-star Wind Ronzel will be able to remove enemy buffs, which will make him an effective adventurer against the water-attuned Agito boss Ciela. Beautiful. Adding Dispel to the wind element, putting it on a story character so they're available. I love it. Ronzel doesn't seem like he knows about magic and dispelling things, really. But I can see how they could make it work from a flavor standpoint. And honestly, it's not like they've really done that so far anyway. Maybe they can just give him like a dispel on his 4th strike or something, and that would be totally fine. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I really like Ronzel. I've been trying to Mana Spiral all the story characters for the most part. I mean, so far I've done Yuden and Cleo, and that's all we've gotten. I haven't done the welfare characters like Botan and Su Feng, but I have done the story characters, and so I'm going to try to continue that tradition. And I already wanted to build an axe for Johanna, who's a character I really like, so I'm going to let her share that with Ronzel now. And for Loyalties Requiem, this was a great raid event when it first came out. I'm very curious to see how it's received today. This was at a time when so many of us were brand new to the game. It pushed us, it challenged us, co-op was required. There was an epithet called Volcanic Fiend Slayer that was really difficult to obtain at the time and required a lot of coordination and good water characters. Now it might end up being too easy. They might add some harder difficulties, I'm sure they will. But maybe if you're somebody new who started with the Fire Emblem event, this is just the thing to get you hooked on Dragalia, because perhaps it's just at the right level of difficulty. And I really hope that's the case, because I could see this inspiring a lot of new Dragalia fans. It's a really good event, it's got a great story, and I'm glad it finally made its return. In late May, we plan to add an interlude to Chapter 13, and add the Dream Big Under the Big Top Facility event to the event compendium. So this is a light facility event notorious facility event, I would say. So that Volcanic Fiendslayer epithet is notably a rare, difficult to obtain epithet from the very beginning of the game that probably only day one or week one, whatever, players would have. Dream Big Under the Big Top was the first facility event that introduced, I think it was a nightmare difficulty, but in any case, it was a harder difficulty for the challenge battle. It might have even just been Master at that time. But back then, we didn't have Chimera weapons and all these other fancy tools available for us, and light was kind of all over the place in some ways as an element. It had gotten a lot of events, but this facility event was hard. Master difficulty was notably hard, and I remember people struggling to get the Shining Star epithet from it. I, of course, used Phoenix Makoto, which is such a meme, but it actually worked for me because he was my strongest character at the time, and I needed healing, so I just put Phoenix on him. He was off element, so it didn't seem like too big of a cost, and he was giving me a Blade Co ability, so it seemed like it was gravy. And I actually used my 3-star Raymond to try stun the boss, which was a big manticore. The arena was full of spikes and lots of small enemies that were difficult to deal with. Now I expect it to be a lot easier, so hopefully more people can get this epithet, and there was 500 Wormite locked behind it back in the day. But it is a fun event. Annalie and Fritz are some people's favorite characters. You know, I think that's one thing that's good about Dragalia is, like, everybody has a different character that they like and relate to. They have never been my favorite. I don't know if it's just the clown vibes, but I do like Annalie's design as relates to energy. Like, I include her on my team sometimes when I'm trying to make like a fun energy team, especially with some of the new chain co-abilities that exist. And Fritz, I just never really gave him that much of a chance. I didn't summon on their banner at the time because I was wiped out from Valentine's plus Gala Cerise, so I couldn't really summon for them, so I didn't have a strong light character to bring to the event other than Halloween Ellie. So maybe that's why I didn't connect with them as much. I just didn't have them in my collection until much later when I just got them randomly. So at the end of May, and this was a shocker to me, we plan to add Master difficulty to Volk's Wrath in the Agito Uprising. You will also be able to craft Tier 2 Flame-Attuned 6-star weapons. We're preparing some action elements you can only see in Master difficulty, so I hope you try clearing it. We're planning to add Master difficulty to the other quests in the Agito Uprising as well, but we want to provide Standard and Expert first and add Master over time. Just chef's kiss. I love what they said with the last sentence there because I still have trauma remembering how the Master High Dragons all rolled out back to back to back to back to back, 1 week after another. And at that time, we didn't have just like all these augment sources. We didn't really have as much rupee income as we do now. Expert Time Attack had just come out before then, so we were still grinding up Tier 1 High Dragon weapons, let alone Tier 2 High Dragon weapons that we have today. So it was a very stressful period for me. As somebody who was trying to create content and work at the same time, I just remember feeling like every time Monday would come around with weekly reset, I was not prepared for the Master Trial, and I felt like I was going to have to waste my weeklies because back then you couldn't save your weekly bonuses for later in the week for whatever content you wanted to do. But yeah, I didn't catch up on Master until like November or December, and when it came out, I think it was October. And even then, it was a very slow build-up for me, and finally now I'm able to clear all these Masters and have mostly finished my weapon grinding and collecting. So I love that this is staggered compared to High Dragon Trials. Hopefully that makes this easier to digest, and it gives us a more steady flow of content, because this month we'll get Master Volk's Wrath, and there's still 2 more Expert Agito bosses that we haven't seen yet. We've seen the twins, but we actually can't fight them. And then there's going to be some type of shadow boss at the very end. So I like this system. Having harder difficulty, to me, flies in the face of what we had talked about last month in Dragalia Lost. Like I said, last month Okada kind of said, you know, we're going to try and make the game more casual and accessible, but eventually we'll add hard things. Well, they added a lot of hard things just this month with the Colosseum Infernal and now adding Master Difficulty to Volk's Wrath. Obviously, this makes me think that Galamars, like, could be a plant for this. Maybe we need Galamars, or Galamars is strongly preferred. You know, with the mechanics, I mean, the ability to shapeshift to tank something and have 2 skills worth of iframes in shapeshift, so like you can stay as a dragon longer while you're casting your skill, and then immediately have 3 skills ready, is significant. Like if there's a sequence where you have to dragon tank a purple and then there's like 3 red shockwaves in a row, right? Like that's a Galamar sequence right there that you would love to be able to immediately have all your skills ready. Otherwise, you'd have to really plan around it and have your skills up before you shapeshift. So there are ways they could make it super annoying if you don't have Galamars, but I really think that it's just going to be like Galamars is helpful for team DPS because it's a good dragon. And if you don't have it, you can probably use other dragons and be fine. And maybe some of your team members will have it and they'll contribute a little bit more. I've seen these comparisons between Sakuya and Mars, and I really think as much as Sakuya is fine, I really think Mars is a much better dragon. I think Sakuya, you're getting 20% strength and 90% skill damage, but Mars, you're just getting 90% strength. I mean, all of your basic attacks are going to be doing a lot more, and your skills are going to be doing almost as much. You're only losing like the 20% strength modifier, and your skill damage wormprints won't suffer as much from diminishing returns. Plus, your dragon form is really good, as opposed to Sakuya, who in Volk, you want to sack her, but sacking her is going to cause Volk to drain HP. Sakuya has a pretty terrible dragon form. So I do legitimately think like Mars is a significant upgrade. I just didn't want to go for it because I wanted to save for Fire Emblem. So we'll see what happens, and I so hope that these tier 2 6-star weapons don't really involve having to max out 5 copies of the tier 1 in order to max out a tier 2. That would just be too much grinding. That would be too painful. Maybe Master will drop a lot more rewards and drops to make the grind significantly easier. Another thing I had speculated and I've seen people hope for is that maybe you need to have both the tier 2 high dragon weapon and the tier 1 6-star weapon in order to craft the tier 2 6-star weapon. But I kind of feel like that may not happen now, just because it seems kind of weird to align the tier 1 6-star with the tier 2 5-star. But maybe if there's ever a tier 3, you would need both of the types of tier 2s to get there. I could see that happening. Please also challenge the water-attuned Agito boss Ciela, who was recently added. As before, you will get the materials required to create a 6-star weapon the first time you clear the quest on standard difficulty. In the treasure trade, you can also trade for a powerful facility that boosts the stats of your adventurers. Cool, just a reminder that Ciela exists. Regarding future updates, as announced previously in the Dragalia Digest, one future update we're working on is the ability for a single adventurer to use up to 2 select skills from other adventurers. I'd like to share a little more on how this will work. An adventurer can equip up to 2 skills from other adventurers. Only the leader of each team can use the skills equipped from other adventurers. To equip skills from another adventurer, the adventurer who the skill belongs to must be level 80 or higher and have at least 50 mana nodes unlocked. Specific items must also be used. So specific items being used means this might not just be something you can spam with abandon. It might have to be very selective. Skills belonging to adventurers who join as part of the main campaign can be equipped even when they do not meet the conditions described above. Some skills cannot be equipped in this way. So that last line, it feels like a catch-all in case there's some things that just prove to be too degenerate or too busted in their testing. But they say this feature is still in development, so there may be changes to the above by the time of release. We will share more info about how this feature will work in a future update notification. Yeah, this is kind of a mind-boggling change, to be honest. The fact that you can equip not just 1, but 2 skills from other adventurers. It says only the leader can use them, but up to 2 skills from other adventurers. How many skills are we talking? Like, if you have 3 adventurers and you get 2 skills each, is that how it works? Or is it like you can pick 1 skill from one backliner and 1 skill from another backliner on your team? Or is it 2 total that all have to be from the same backliner unit? That is kind of what I'm wondering with this. I assume there's got to be some busted things you can make happen, especially in a co-op setting where in solo, to carry the extra skills on your leader, you have to bring that unit somewhere in your team comp. So they already have those skills. So maybe there's some skills that benefit from doubling up on. But I think in co-op, that's where this will really shine, in that your one unit that you're bringing to battle all of a sudden has this incredible arsenal of skills available to them. This is still very mind-melting to me, so I'm going to have to think and see some examples, and like once we know exactly how it works, we can probably get pretty creative with how we build with this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just, I don't know. Is this yet another form of power creep? Like, is this going to obsolete certain characters? I'm honestly not that worried about things like that. I'm just too mind blown by this that I can't really process it fully yet. So regarding the main campaign, this was also shared during Dragalia Digest, but Chapter 4 is scheduled for release in June. A new adventure will join you in Chapter 14. I think I said 4 earlier, but I meant 14. But you'll have to wait until you actually play the campaign in June to see who will be journeying along with you. So, new character, huh? I mean, it seems like it would be Leaf, but Leaf seems like such a fit for Gala, you know, that I don't know if they would do Welfare Leaf and Gala Leaf at the same time. I mean, it doesn't feel like it would be the siblings to me. Not yet anyway, just because we haven't really concluded our arc with the siblings, and we're supposedly going to the capital, so maybe it could be like Harl, but that feels weird. Maybe Emil joins us and like turns around. I don't know. I have no clue who this could be. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I guess Leaf is kind of like the easiest assumption, but it does feel weird that then we would potentially get a Gala Leaf right after that. But I guess stranger things have happened. Regarding the main campaign, that's what we just read. In conclusion, so I guess this is it for today. I'm very happy we're able to have another Fire Emblem Heroes event. The second half of the event is coming up, and there's the revival event featuring the raid boss Fraganoth after that, with Celier's Mana Spiral being unlocked as well. Also, we're planning a new raid event for the end of May, so I hope you continue to enjoy playing Dragalia Lost. So, we mustn't let Fraganoth be revived. They let him be revived, just gotta say that. When I read this, what I think the timeline looks like, this Fire Emblem event is going to last until May 11th, May 12th, I think, in my time zone. So I think right after that, we're going to have Loyalty's Requiem come back until roughly the 19th or 20th. And then this is actually being added to the event compendium, which is kind of odd because our Easter facility event wasn't added to the compendium. It just got a rerun. Maybe the reason that happened was there's already a water facility in the compendium, but there's not a light facility yet. That's the only thing I can think of as far as a theory for that. But I think after the 19th or 20th, this will get added to the compendium. We'll have like a week worth of Void Endeavors, the Interlude, that type of thing. The Mana Spirals will all come out in roughly the week of the 20th. Sometime at the end of that week, maybe the 27th, maybe a little before then, we'll probably get the Master Difficulty of Volk's Wrath. And then in the very last few days of the month, when they say end of the month, it usually means the very last few days, we will get Gala as a showcase, and I think we will also get, we'll get our new raid event, whatever that might be. I'm looking forward to playing that. Hopefully they can get the balancing a little bit more right than with our last raid event, so yeah, that might be able to boost raid events up significantly if they're able to do that. So they gave us some Blessed Eth on Ashes, Wormite, and the next installment is coming on June 1st. That is pretty much going to do it for today, everyone. That is this month in Dragalia Lost for May 2020. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think about what's to come in this month. Do you have any speculation about the story character that we're getting in Chapter 14? I'm very curious about that. Or any thoughts on how the mana spirals for Ronzal and Celiera will turn out? I'm also looking forward to seeing that, and I hope they sneak a few extra characters in there for good measure. I still want to see Johanna. Of course, I've wanted to see Eleonora for so long, but at this point, I think I'd rather her just not be meta, and so I don't see her everywhere, and it feels kind of special to use her. That's my 2 cents, though. Let me know yours in the comments below. That is really going to do it this time. Thank you, as always, for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.